scheduled raises, health benefits, retirement savings plans out the door if the union loses the election, and then you're totally at the whim of your boss.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
In other Florida news, an anti-union bill just passed the House. It passed the Senate earlier this month, so it's headed to DeSantis' desk for his signature. In all likelihood, he is going to sign it, and it is a huge attack on frontline workers in Florida. Public educators, school counselors, municipal workers, public health care workers, and a whole host of other frontline workers that McKenna Schuler notes in our article were lauded as heroes during the COVID-19 pandemic. But now these 150,000 working Floridians and their unions have new requirements that are going to be imposed on them by the state. Although unions representing cops, firefighters, corrections, and probation officers would be exempted from its provisions, having been categorized by the Republican bill sponsors as belonging to a special risk category. Which is absolutely BS. We know that's BS. They just like cops and they don't like teachers. That's the thing. That's all it does. Because, and you know, McKenna says in one of her tweets about this that, you know, the bill's sponsors, their assertions are that this will actually help unions. This is going to help unions. Despite that, not a single union member came out in support of this bill during public testimony or to thank the bill's sponsors for bringing it forward. But the sponsors still assert that this is going to be helpful for unions. But then, if it's going to be helpful for unions, why don't you impose this on the cops? That's super weird. It's super weird if you think this is actually going to be helpful for the teachers and their organizations. Why would you not impose that on the cops? Do you hate cops? Is that what you want me to believe? No, of course not. Of course not. This is a bill specifically meant to attack teachers and public health care workers, municipal workers, anybody in the state of Florida who has the gall to fight for themselves and their families and their fellow workers. So what the bill would do is ban payroll deduction of union dues for public sector union members who, remember, already have to willingly sign up to pay dues in the first place. Florida is a right to rec state, right to work, meaning that you don't have to pay union dues. The state forces the employer and the union to not have fees for the union in their contracts. In other states, the government stays out of this decision and allows in the private sector the workers and management to decide whether or not they want to have this in their contract. But in Florida, the state comes in, again, utilizing state power here, and says, no, it is illegal for you to have this in your contract. And so workers have to, on their own, individually say, I want to pay dues to the union. And so this says that, no, you can't have dues deduction on your paychecks.
Right. And also we should note that there are deductions that happen on paychecks of teachers and other public sector workers beyond union dues. Okay. Right. There are other forms of deductions, whether it's supplemental insurance products that they buy. Right. They buy a disability insurance policy from central office, and that's taken out of their paycheck. Or maybe they donate to the United Way with every paycheck. Right. I don't know all the specifics in Florida and exactly what deductions are currently allowed, but I feel very certain from working in and around this kind of system here in Alabama that deductions to the AFT and the NEA are not the only deductions that are happening.
Right.
And so it's not as if this is like a special there's not a ton of state resources that are being drained by doing this. It's a spreadsheet. And someone clicks a few buttons and sends the file every month. There is no good reason to do this unless you are attempting to hurt the unions and hurt their membership. And the reason why that works is because dues deduction through your paycheck is simply easier for the members.
Yeah.
And the alternative of members having to pay with their credit card or through draft out of their checking account, of course they can do that, but it's more difficult because people's cards expire, people move, people change banks, all these different things happen. And I experienced that firsthand in Alabama with the Alabama Education Association, because there was a very similar attack on AEA and their dues deduction. And, I saw the transition from one to the other. Mm-hmm. It's definitely an attack on membership.
Absolutely. Interestingly, during the public comment section, Chris Payne, a Republican teacher, a Republican educator of 32 years and a former soldier, a former soldier from Nassau County, told lawmakers during one of the bill's committee stops, quote, "Don't tell me how to handle my paycheck. It's not big enough anyway, so don't tell me what to do with it." Which is reasonable, right? If I want dues deducted from my paycheck, then let me freaking do it. It's my money. But the Florida government is saying, no, we're going to tell you how you can use your paycheck, and you can't have dues deduction. Some of the other things that it will do is impose annual auditing requirements, and it would also require public employee unions to reach or maintain a 60% membership rate among eligible employees or risk facing decertification, and consequently the loss of a union contract.
Which is just totally arbitrary and will unnecessarily hurt people.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. The decertification wouldn't happen automatically. It would be it would trigger a recertification vote, is what McKenna says in her article. Which is better than automatic decertification, but it's still really, really, it's super arbitrary. And one of the questions would be, typically, the thing is a majority. If a majority of employees want to, be members of their unions, then that's what it takes to get a union in. That's what it takes to get a union out. Why wouldn't you just say a majority? And well, McKenna has some reporting on that, showing that of the 15 largest teachers unions, all of them have membership over 50%, but only 3 of them have membership over 60%. And the teachers unions also say that DeSantis aide was calling around all the teachers unions, asking them what their membership percentages was. And so it's just a blatant attack on these unions, on their ability to, utilize their resources in the most effective ways possible, because this is going to mean having to devote resources to elections every other year or every year if you're not able to maintain over 60% membership. And it's just going to waste resources that could be going towards research or organizing or representing members. And instead, you're having to win an election all the time. It's just, yeah. And then, but if you lose the election, that was triggered not because workers were agitated and wanted to get rid of their union, but because the government triggered an election because the membership fell below the arbitrary threshold of 60%, then you lose the union contract automatically. Automatically. You don't even have it until the expiration date. You lose it automatically. And that includes scheduled raises, health benefits, retirement savings plans, scheduling. All of that goes out the door
if the union loses the election and then you're totally at the whim of your boss.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.